Senator Estes, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your
I've been looking at Rule 6.13. It says when the reading of paper is called for and the same is objected by any member, it shall be determined by a majority vote of the Senate without debate. Is it appropriate to make a parliamentary inquiry about the reading of papers in this filibuster?
You're recognized.
A little bit later on, it says the senator addressing the Senate, this is in the rulings, on the question of whether or not the Senate shall concur in the House amendments to a bill may read in full the legal opinion relating to the subject matter of the amendments unless the Senate orders the reading discontinued. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Davis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Senator Zaffirini, for what purpose do you rise?
For a point of information, Mr. President.
Thank
you. Some of us did not hear Senator Estes' question and your answer. Would you mind repeating it for us, please?
I did not make a ruling, but Senator Estes is asking about Rule 613. When the reading of a paper is called for and the same is objected to by any member, it shall be determined by a majority vote of the Senate and without debate. I think what Senator Estes was asking is that if a senator objects to the reading of documents and the Senate votes, that the senator shall stop reading from that document.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have another point of information.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Vanderpute has arrived, and my question is, at what point will we consider the resolution honoring her father?
Later this evening.
Later this evening? Thank you.
Senator Watson, for what purpose?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
With regard to Rule 6.13, entitled Dispense with Reading of Papers, if in fact there is an objection by a member and it is determined by a majority vote of the Senate, I suppose the determination would be that the paper can't be read. Is that correct?
Senator, that is correct if the members vote to confirm that.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
If the Senate were to vote that the papers could not be read, that would not be a strike, a warning or a strike that would lead to a determination by the Senate about whether the filibuster goes on. Is that correct?
Senator, I'm advised by the parliamentarian that not on the first case, but if she continued to read different documents, it would be.
All right. But for clarity purposes, there would have to be an objection to the reading of papers.
That is correct.
There would have to be
a vote.
I suppose it would be subject to a debate as to whether or not debatable.
Without debate.
It would just be a straight vote, and that would not be a strike unless there were continued issues.
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Ellis, for what purpose?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
This Rule 6.13 relates to the reading of a paper. My inquiry is a member who is conducting a filibuster permitted to read from a computer or to read from an iPad? This specifically says when the reading of a paper is called. So my question is a senator permitted to read from something other than paper? It specifically says paper in the rule book. Since we're having strict conformity with the rules, it does say paper, Mr. President, not a computer. Somebody can give her one. I don't want to give it to her. I won't give it to her.
Senator Ellis, our rules were written a number of years ago. The meaning of the word paper would include reading from printed documents, whether they're on your computer or you have them in hard copy right in front of you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Another parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it fair to say that these rules have become very flexible in this body?
I don't think that's a proper inquiry.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator West, for what purpose, your answer?
I just want to make sure I understand the rule, first of all. Let me make sure I read it right, and if I'm wrong, someone let me know. When the reading of a paper is called for, so this rule would only apply if the reading of the paper was called for initially, right?
Senator West, it's my understanding that when Senator Estes made his inquiry, he was referring to Rule 6.13.
Correct.
But he was referring to a specific ruling that says a senator addressing the Senate on the question of whether or not the Senate shall concur in the House amendments to a bill may read in full a legal opinion relating to the subject matter, a paper, of the amendments unless the Senate orders its reading discontinued.
So so then do we just limit that to the facts, and the facts being a legal opinion, or is it to be construed more broadly than that? Because the rule specifically says when the reading of a paper is called for and the same is objected to by a member. So it looks like, at least based on the rules that we passed, okay, the reading has to be called for and the same objected to by a member. That's what the rule says. Now, that's what the black and white letter of the rules that we passed at the beginning of the session. When the reading of a paper is called for and the same is objected to by any member, it shall be determined by the majority vote of the Senate without debate. And I'm just trying to figure out, in this instance, what reading was called for purposes of its applicability to the filibuster that's being...
Senator, why don't you address if you come forward,
sure.
I'll address it. Okay.